On January 17, 1864, in the town of Dandridge, located in Jefferson County, Tennessee, Brigadier General Samuel D. Sturgis would face off against the troops of Lieutenant General James Longstreet. With the mission to dislodge the Confederate troops from their winter quarters, Sturgis would attack Longstreet in several locations. Who would win the winter battle, and would the weather play a role in the pursuit of the retreating army? All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. Please do not attempt to remove the safety bar while the ride is in motion. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger time machine to help reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. The Federal Mission. There were two generals and their troops sent to dislodge Longstreet from Dandridge in January 1864. One commander of the Federal troops for this mission was Major General John Parke. With the plans of dislodging the Confederate troops, and with the receiving of reports that the area south of the French Broad River would be good foraging, on January 14th, Parke would move his troops toward Dandridge to engage and dislodge Longstreet's troops stationed there. Parke would follow the East Tennessee and Virginia Railroad with orders to cross the French Broad River to occupy the area. The other division would be under the command of Brigadier General Samuel D. Sturgis. Sturgis would be the commander of the Cavalry Corps, Army of the Ohio, the infantry of the 4th Army Corps for this mission. His troops would arrive in Dandridge on January 15th. The Confederate Response. This would cause an immediate response from the Confederate Army wintering nearby. General Longstreet would be in command of the Department of East Tennessee. In hopes of finally engaging the Union Army in battle and completely destroying his enemy, Longstreet would move one infantry division under the command of Micah Jenkins to Kimborough's Crossroads. Then Longstreet would move up two infantry divisions from Morristown on January 15th. These two divisions would threaten the Union base that was located 12.9 miles north at New Market, Tennessee. This was done in case the forces of Sturgis was an attempted deceptive blow. Then Longstreet would take an additional two divisions and have them moved to Mossy Creek. Longstreet would also order his cavalry, commanded by Brigadier General William Martin, to head toward Dandridge. Martin's cavalry was composed of Alabama troops and a mixture of others. Longstreet would accompany Martin on this ride. Failed attack. On January 16th, Sturgis had arrived in Dandridge before the troops of Martin and Longstreet. Sturgis' plan was to ambush Martin and Longstreet at Dandridge and destroy their forces by using Parke's forces to completely surround them. Alas, along the Morristown Road near Kimborough's Crossroads, Sturgis met and battled the Confederate Infantry Division with artillery of Micah Jenkins. Sturgis found himself outgunned. Sturgis fell back to Dandridge over the failed attack. In the meantime, Parke met against Confederate Martin's cavalry. The Confederate attack was successful in dislodging the Federal troops and chased them into the town of Dandridge. What remained of Parke's forces camped around Dandridge on the evening of January 16th and stayed on the defensive. There was a fear that Longstreet's forces could be reinforced with troops coming from Virginia. The attack of January 17, 1864. Wanting to get a better idea of the strength of the Federal forces and to allow time for sharpshooters to get into position, Longstreet delayed the first attack of the day until noon. Longstreet then divided his divisions under the commands of Brigadier General Brushaw Johnson and Brigadier General Micah Jenkins. Sturgis received information that the Confederates were preparing for battle, so Sturgis formed his men into battle lines. The attack would begin at 4 p.m. as the Confederates began to advance upon Dandridge. Jenkins brought Hood's division south along the Morristown Road. The Union cavalry engaged Jenkins with artillery that had arrived the day before. However, this attack was not successful. Bushrod had his division, along with a couple of cavalry brigades, to attack the force of Colonel Frank Wolford along the Chuckey Road. The Union cavalry would not get the advantage and were pushed back to Dandridge. In the meantime, Federal Colonels Oscar LaGrange and Israel Garrett had the 125th Ohio Cavalry to occupy a natural depression in the ground. They were situated ahead of the main Federal forces to help thwart an overwhelming force. While these forces did advance to a rail fence and did give a great defense, they were eventually pushed back to their original place at the natural depression. On the left side of the Union forces, Jenkins' infantry division attacked and caused a retreat of the Federal advancing forces. By evening, all attempts at advancement on the Federal side were halted, and the men all retreated back to their main line of defense. When darkness fell, all of the fighting had to stop. Retreat. General Parke began to plan a retreat. He feared that Longstreet's entire force was upon them, and that the mission had failed to cross the river as ordered. Before midnight, General Parke ordered his troops to retreat the areas of New Market and Strawberry Plains. The remaining Federal forces followed suit and retreated in an orderly manner. Because of the lack of shoes for the men of the Confederate military, many of the soldiers were barefoot. Adding to the woes of Longstreet was the lack of cannons and ammunition. Because of the blistering winter conditions, Longstreet could not pursue the retreating army. However, Longstreet did send Martin's cavalry in pursuit. However, Martin was slow to act. Because of this, the Federal army was basically untouched on their route back to Knoxville. Longstreet returned his army to its winter quarters in Morristown and Russellville. The Union would have 100 casualties, and the Confederates would have 150 casualties. Thank you. We at Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the Appalachian Civil War battles. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.